Hey guys, this is Ed, Paul, and Anna of Current Brand Media, and we are here to tell you a little bit more about our sponsor.
Sportsball is a great subscription service geared towards minor league baseball fans. Each box features a different minor league team.
You get a box every 3 months with minor league baseball gear, including different styles of hats like Ed's favorite, the dad hat. The cost is less than $12 a month.
Proceeds from each box goes to More Than Baseball, the only nonprofit dedicated to the well-being of minor league baseball players.
We all know that Parents' Days are coming up this summer, so if you've got a mom or a dad or a grandma or a grandpa who are particularly difficult to buy for, but you know they're baseball fans, this is the answer, guys.
Meet your new favorite team at sportsballbox.com.
What's up, Dad Hat crew, and welcome to the special edition episode of the Dad Hat Chronicles. On this episode, I sat down with Britt Davis. She was one of the designers that was brought in by MLB Raleigh to think and come up with the concept of what a Major League Baseball team in Raleigh, North Carolina, the Raleigh-Durham area, would look like. She is the designer of the Oak City Owls. That was actually my favorite design. But we go into how she goes into the whole design process. It was a lot of fun. I thank her for coming on the podcast. Make sure you guys are following her. And then without further ado, guys, I give you the episode. All right. Well, this is a special edition, a little extra episode that I'm going to be putting together here. And the reason for this is I am very excited, guys. I have yet another designer for the MLB Raleigh event that was put together. I listen, I was extremely excited when she agreed to do this. How are you doing, Britt Davis?
I am doing very well. I'm doing good, happy, just it's all good. It's all
right?
good.
We're above ground and not underground, so that's a good thing.
Oh, yes.
So let's jump right in. When MLB Raleigh put this event together, they're approaching local artists. At the moment you were here in North Carolina. When they came to you, what did you say? What was that all about?
So funny story. So I was actually I think when I did, I had just moved to Georgia.
Okay.
But they knew me because I'm originally from North Carolina, and I went to school in Raleigh. I went to North Carolina State for undergrad. So I have strong North Carolina ties. So when they came to me, like my initial thought was, I don't want to do it because I was just too nervous about really putting my work out there. I was still kind of new to sports design and fresh out of grad school, in my first job in the design world, pro sports world. So hesitant, but I was like, you know what, that actually sounds really fun. And because I did my thesis on baseball, it just seemed like a good fit. So once I really started to think about it for like an hour or so, I was like, I'll do it. And then it turned out to be like one of my most favorite projects, like result and process wise.
It's and before we started recording this, I told you that this is actually my favorite logo out of all of them. This was actually my favorite logo. Ryan's was second, and then I used to also like the Britt and his stuff too as well. But this one is like the color I loved. The owls, I don't know what it is. This is what I gravitated towards. So did you get any parameters of what you needed to stay within, any colors or anything like that?
They really kept it pretty open. It was just it's the goal. They outlined the goal. So I think naturally all of the designers, when we heard the goal about we're trying to get professional baseball in North Carolina, and the cause that it was going to go towards, like the winning hat would, be used to raise funds for like a local youth baseball team. So just something we could really rally behind. So I think naturally A lot of us, I think all of us being either from North Carolina or having those North Carolina ties, just wanted to really showcase the pride we
Mhm.
have in the state, and then just our love for baseball and sports design in general. So, no real restrictions, but we all just kind of gravitated towards, really just showcasing how dope North Carolina is and that it deserves its own baseball team.
I agree that, one of the main reasons why we moved to North Carolina is we love it here. It's an absolute beautiful state.
Yeah.
And it's a lot less cold than Ohio. So
Yeah. Yeah, it can get cold for us, and you know how we do when snow or cold or ice or anything
everything
hits
shuts down.
just down. So it's the same way in Georgia. So that's the vibe is very similar.
I like it. All right. So tell me, what was then you decided that you were going to do it. Now, how did tell me, walk me through a little bit of your like design process of how you decided to do this.
Yeah, so I'm like I said, I was fresh out of grad school, so I was still very research heavy minded. Like any project that I start, it starts with like a lot of research, even with stuff I'm familiar with. So obviously being super familiar with North Carolina, I had a lot that I could kind of pull from,
Mhm.
but I really wanted to kind of push myself because I knew there was going to be so many other talented designers creating. I really wanted to try to tap into something that was special to me. So naturally, I gravitated towards my school colors because I'm like Raleigh, and when I think Raleigh, I think red. So
Mhm.
I was like, well, I already know what my colors are going to be. I'm going to do red, black, and white in some regard. But then also finding out like that actual red, I think was actually like one of the official colors of Sir Walter Raleigh, who founded the city. So it's like, oh, perfect.
Right.
So like that actually aligned, really well. And then, traditionally when we think about like sports teams, the mascot is, has a tougher look, more aggressive. So I was trying to keep that in mind, but I was thinking like, what animal, it's like, well, there's already a Cardinals, the Cardinals are state bird, but there's already like a Cardinals team. And so I was trying to think of like other things. I was like, well, I did that North Carolina project. Like all of us have to do this project on North Carolina when we're in middle school. So I'm like, well, we got like sweet potatoes. We got like, I'm trying to think, we got red clay. So that ties into the red as well. So I'm like, well, what else can I really look at? So I just started looking through all these other animals and then found out like I think it's the horned owl is like another like prominent species found in North Carolina only. So I was like, okay, cool. An owl's kind of cool. And then it also got me thinking about like what owls represent, wisdom, knowledge, and, finding out that like when you look at the triangle area, you've got a whole lot of colleges, a whole lot of universities, the like one of the highest concentrations of historically Black colleges and universities as well. So I was like, oh, this is really, really cool. Like I'm learning stuff and I could put this to my logo.
Right.
So once I kind of settled on the colors and the mascot, I kind of started getting to work of just like, okay, how do I make this owl, look kind of tough? And in the end up feeling more like a minor league vibe, but still fun. And so from that, I was able to kind of extract like the secondary mark. So like the acorn,
Yep.
it's just like the oak city of oaks. And so being able to put the acorn on the nose of the owl to kind of have that tie in, kind of making the horns on the owl look, extra aggressive. And then even the overall shape of the face of the owl kind of feels like a wide acorn. So like all these little subtle things. And then like when I got into the secondary marks, doing like the little lockups, kind of make it feel more major league style versus the more mascot style. And then like I have a one where it's like an acorn, and it's got the little baseball stitching.
That's the one I'm just looking at right now. Love
so
that one.
That one's actually my favorite. But just having those kind of secondary marks kind of in place to kind of figure out, like I always love like playing with juxtaposition when I'm making a logo, like how many elements can I overlap that you usually don't think about together. So that being baseball or an owl or these acorns and like these prominent shapes, merging those together in one thing. And so this really gave me a chance to kind of put that into practice.
Like I said, I love it. And I love the fact that you didn't go for just the name of the city, like as Raleigh, which is perfectly fine, but going with Oak City, now you're really looking into, like you said, the whole triangle area, and then, gives a certain sense of pride for just not Raleigh, but like Durham and all of those other cities around it.
Yeah, so it's like just, and I think that when you can incorporate that like hyper local, like I actually really learned about that importance of hyper local culture, and vernacular and nicknames, while in Atlanta,
Mhm.
because it's something that they take a lot of pride in. So it's like that same thing, like leaning into that a little bit more in North Carolina. Once I really started to pay attention, it's like, oh yeah, we've done that kind of all along. Like each region kind of has a name for itself, or a vernacular or a lingo,
Mhm.
or place, a nickname for the city
Yeah.
that people kind of refer to. So bring that on a bigger scale. If we get a team, it would be cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You say something very interesting also, is that you said that it felt very minor league. I can honestly see this as a major league, logo. Like this thing is, because you got your secondary logos, you got your, the one with the, like you said, the one that you really like, the baseball and the acorn together when you mix them together.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. I think it'll look, as a patch on the side of on the sleeve or something like that. It would look, oh my God, amazing.
Yeah, I think it's because when we think minor leagues, like the
Hmm.
just the styling, the aesthetic, is that's what you see a lot.
Oh
Where
yeah.
a lot of the older baseball teams, they've been around for a long time. So this is before this style and this
Hmm.
aesthetic was really prominent. So you'd have more of the lockup. So like when you look at like the Yankees or Boston, in the Detroit, like they have those, letter
Yep.
based marks. LA, they're very, very clean. And then later you might get into like the Cardinals or Cleveland with their original logo, and they're more like illustrative, like that old school
Yep.
illustrative style. And then when the minor league teams really started refreshing, it's those really thick, bold, contrasting lines and sharp edges and stuff. So I think that's just the affiliation, but
Oh, I
that's
could definitely see it as an alternate, or even a minor league, you know, ball club like Collegiate Woodpad. Somebody would love
yeah,
to pick this up because this thing is great. And like you said, a lot of minor leagues. And if you look behind me, all these hats are all minor league hats, right?
they're most fun though, right? Like they
Yeah, collecting those logos is what makes us fans of the sport, specifically in minor leagues, right? Because, like you said, when it comes to the majors, it's very structured. There's not a lot, to deviate. And then
yeah,
when you get into the minors, that's when everybody just goes crazy, and that's why it works for minor leagues.
yeah. And I think now, we see across sports, basketball with their city jerseys, and the WNBA is also doing with like
Mhm.
more city centric jerseys, and MLB, I think you started rolling them out as well.
With the
uh,
City Connects, yeah.
yeah, you're starting to see more of that fun, free flowing vibe of like really zooming in on like what makes that city and the culture of that city special, and how
Yeah.
can we present that in the uniform. So I think we're starting to see a little bit more of this style flowing into the pro level of sports. So that's pretty cool.
I loved seeing that. And I love that the minor leagues were the first ones to do it.
Yeah.
And then now, major leagues, all of them, right? Like, basketball, like you say, basketball, football, right? The NFL rethinking a lot of their logos and identity. And they're like, they've been successful. Oh, wait. And then we can also sell a lot of more merchandise.
Oh yeah, because that youth market too is like why you see a lot of people, those more vibrant colors and the forms and shapes, like they're really grooming that next generation of sports fans and kind of trying to tap into what they're into. So I hope it keeps going. Like
Well,
it's
like
fun.
the Copa brands, that they have in minor league baseball, right? And now the Nine initiative with minor league baseball, highlighting African American, teams and all of that. So that's going to be, like you said, like, they're really bringing it up to the forefront. And then the young generations are the ones who are really embracing all of those bright colors and all of those logos that are just great, and then, when you have designers like you who are amazing at your job. I couldn't do this. There's no way I could do this.
No, well, it's the creativity, because we get the inspiration from fans.
Mhm.
So just understanding like what would a fan of this team in this city really gravitate towards? And so when fans are very vocal about, what they like, what what makes the team special to them, what makes the city special, what they would like to see, we try to lean into that a little bit. Like at least I do,
Mhm.
so that at the end of the day, I want my work to be authentic and
Mhm.
feel like no matter where I am, no matter who I'm designing for, no matter what team, um, what I do is it feels authentic to where people look at that and say, oh, either they're from here or they really, really, really did their research and respect the history and culture of what we represent. So that's
Uh,
my goal.
I like that, going back to being very hyper local, right? Embracing the people, embracing the area in which you're designing for. And I think that's extremely important. Absolutely. So when you did the design and everything, did you come up here for the event, or were you not able to do it?
I wasn't able to come because I think I had a game or something with work
Mhm.
that weekend. I had something like with work, so I couldn't come. But they sent me pictures and they sent me a hat because they end up making one or two of all the hats, and then
Nice.
that one, I believe that's the one they kind of produced and were able to sell for
Yeah.
the fundraiser. So I do have the hat. Um,
Nice.
they sent me the hat and some other really cool stuff. I got like a t-shirt that I wear around Georgia all the time. People are probably like, "This is brave. What are you doing?" But I wear my t-shirt and my tank top and my hat like all the time. So
I'm very jealous because that's amazing. I wish, and I'm gonna have to get on them on this. I was like, listen, guys, you guys got to get some more of these hats out there, even if you just do it as a what if kind of situation, right? Branded under the what if, dad hats and new era snapbacks, whatever it is. Because man, like I'm looking through all these, I keep going back, and it's like
they're
these are
all
all great.
because I know like when they were doing like voting, I mean, I went in and voted for like things that weren't mine, like just other designs because they were just so like there were so many that were so good and the styles were so different, and it was just crazy to see how given the same like prompt, I guess, or the same like base, like this is what we want, to see the range and how different, everything was. Because my biggest fear was like, man, I gotta think so deep and so into it, I just don't want to have the same concept. And they did have us like share like, okay, what we were thinking about doing, just to
Yeah.
make sure nothing really overlapped. But I really wanted to make sure I had it covered to where like I don't want to go back to the drawing board. So I went so deep. I was like, I'm gonna go the education route. Maybe no one else is really gonna tap into that because I'm a nerd. So education in school and college, like my family is really into all of that. So I'm like, I'm gonna try to make it, about that. But everybody did so many amazing variations of, that same concept. And it was that's just like the power of creative, like to me, like it's just so cool.
I appreciate, like you said, that everybody went at it from a different point of view, that nothing overlapped. Really nothing really overlapped because everybody came from different places, and it's amazing how, I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh,
Rally Hound, the Capitals, the Revenge, Rally Q, Rally Oaks. So like even with that, it's just there's nothing that is exactly the same, which is amazing.
yeah, that was pretty cool. So I was like, that was dope. I just thought that was just really cool. And it made it really hard to like vote and really pick out what you really, really wanted. And that's why I appreciate them also telling the story behind the design. Because a lot of people think that we just sit and like poof, an idea comes to us. And sometimes it happens, but not all the time. So to really be given a platform to tell the story of the concept and then give us a chance to go behind the design and let people know like what we were thinking and show our sketches and stuff. I think that's awesome too.
I was just gonna say they're showing some of your sketches here, and I appreciate that, right? Because like you said, every behind the design, there's a little section on behind the design, of little details. There's a little plaque right there next to your hat and everything, and it's like, and then also, which I think is very much important as well, is they talk about you, the designer, and who is the one who designed it and all that. So that's also important. That should not be overlooked at all.
Yeah, oh yeah, like being able to tell your story. Because a lot of times, the designers, and I'm not always like upfront with, oh, I got to tell my story. But again, in this case, it kind of ties into why the design turned out the way that it did. Like to know me to know I love my school, I love NC State, like, giving back and just staying connected, going back for homecoming, all that stuff. Like I love my school,
Hmm.
and to kind of be able to incorporate that into a project, anytime to kind of give a shout out back to like where you're from, or something that means something to you, is always great. So it just helped tell the story of the design, and then to just help people understand like what goes into what we do, and that there are people behind these projects. Like even when you design for pro sports, people can be like, oh, I hate it, this sucks, oh, I don't like this. But when you can really hear the story of like, this is why this was created this way, this is why this thing means this, and this is how it's going to be used down the road, I think it starts opening people's minds up a little bit.
Hmm.
Like, oh, okay, I understand it now, and the context makes me appreciate it a little bit more. Or they just still hate it.
They're still gonna hate it no matter what, right? Exactly. You can't make everybody happy. It's just the way it is. And I tried to be very honest with it. It's like, I honestly have not seen a logo that I say, oh, I hate it, I hate it. There's some that it doesn't, connect with me, that I'm not particularly like, but for the majority of the time is like that. It's like, if you understand the story behind of why this was done in this way, or why you picked the color, or why you picked the acorn as the nose, then you get to appreciate that logo even more.
Yeah, the context really helps. And I used to always kind of almost be against it. I'd be like, if I don't put the logo in front of somebody and they don't get it, then it just doesn't make sense. But context does, help, because if someone in California saw this and they're not really familiar with North Carolina culture, or, the naming and the nicknames and stuff, of course they're gonna be like, why is that acorn, a nose? It like, okay, it looks kind of cool, but it doesn't make sense to me. But when they hear the story, it's like, oh, okay, that context helps me
Yeah.
understand a little bit better.
Yeah. Now, did you also come up with the design of the jerseys as well? Did you think
Yeah.
about that as well?
So yeah, so they gave that. I think that was part of the another prompt was to do a logo. It was like a primary mark, a second, I think it was a secondary mark, and then a uniform. And I think I probably like almost forgot to do the uniform. But I'm pretty, when it comes to uniforms, I like it kind of clean and simple. Like I knew like, okay, I want, the color balance and everything, and kind of what I want across the chest. So was able to kind of utilize the elements that I had to build it out. But I spent way more time on the logos themselves. And then I was like, oh yeah, the uniform.
But it worked out though.
It worked out. Traditionally, I try to work holistically, like try to know everything that I have. But the reality is sometimes that's not even possible, even when you're doing this for real. You might find it one way, and then, oh yeah, we also need XYZ, and you have to kind of pivot to make sure that you can, accommodate. But that's just practice. But it all worked out. So like that's why this is probably one of my favorites, because it was so many different hurdles and just fears and intimidation, and then ultimately like taking the leap and saying, this is actually really fun. So
let me ask you, do you think this was a much harder project for you, because there were really not a lot of parameters to work with, compared to if you have a client who has specific instructions of what they want?
Yes, just because it's like trying to figure out like where to start, because given so much freedom, just you don't know what to do with it. And when I say not knowing what to do with it, it really means just there's just so many possibilities and
too many ideas that go through your head.
Yes, and just like there was stuff that I had done with this logo, and even another baseball contest logo that I had done for, was it Kansas City Monarchs. It was like I had so many ideas, and I really wanted to cram all the ideas into one concept instead of really leaning on what was the strongest. So I could showcase like I had all these ideas, like look at all the things I did, but it really boiled down to trying to make the decision of, okay, what's going to be the strongest element, what's going to really speak to the fan base that I'm targeting, and just making that decision. So that was the challenge, was just, I have so much freedom, I have so many ideas, and I've actually got a decent amount of time to work on it. So I would just be sketching and, marking the things that I really, really, really liked. Like I knew I wanted that acorn nose. Like once I drew it, because I think I had drawn another traditional nose, and I was drawing like an acorn because it was like, the Oak City. I was like, oaks, acorns and oaks, that's the right plant to seed, right? I was just double checking to make sure it wasn't too good to be true. And once I just started sketching out the things that I liked and just trying to see, like, once it was in front of me, what pieces made sense, and kind of running with those pieces and then eliminating things that I didn't need. Because I think at one point I was trying to put like an acorn stem on the top of the owl's head. So I thought, got an acorn on his nose. He doesn't need an acorn on top of his head. So.
Gotcha. So that's what, and I see right here on the sketch, you have the one with the acorn, and then you also have the one that you can barely see because there's only half of it. But I think that's where the nose, where you were drawing the nose there.
So I had kind of like said, I was drawing that acorn. I was like, oh, like it totally could fit. Like it's perfect. Let me just do that.
And then boom, and off it went. I mean, like I said, it's my favorite. It really is. So, so if you were to be asked to do something along these lines again, an event like this, is that something that you would definitely consider doing again?
Yeah, because like now it's like the initial hesitation was just like, I guess, the fear of failure, and then like failing in public is like, okay, I've agreed to do it and I've been announced to do it, so now people are going to be looking for it. But if I can't deliver something that I feel is worthy, what does that say about me as a designer? So it's that initial like fear of failure. But even if I did fail with it or wasn't happy with it, it's like still learning from the experience. So now it's like embracing the challenge of like the unknown, of like just saying yes, and seeing like what that yes results in, like what kind of creativity is unlocked from that yes, versus like telling myself, oh, I can't do it because I don't have an idea within 5 minutes of the prompt. Because that's how my brain usually works. Like someone shoots something to me, this is the issue, or this is my brand, or this is the project I have, what do you got? And I'm like, within 5 minutes, I'm like, oh, this, and this. But with this project, they was like, I had to really sit down and think about it. And I really had to do research. So it kind of, from that point, changed how I approach projects. I would really try to sit down and think before I just jump in and start shooting, different ideas off.
And it's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, you are extremely talented. I could never in my wildest dream come even close to doing something like this.
You never know. See, that was what I was saying about myself. But I mean, like, even if you can't, like, my people, my family, but I can't draw, I can't do this, like, but you can still, think, you can still, identify the what you want to see, or how you want to see it, and then kind of work with the creative to get happen. So
right. No, absolutely right. As far as like, creative mind, I think that people, for a lot of us, we're communicators who are doing, for you, like design and all that, there has to be a sense of creativity within you, because if not, it's just, it's not going to work. So you might want to start doing something else, which is totally fine. Okay. As well.
Yeah.
So, so last question here, any future plans for you as far as like, designing for any other baseball teams in the works for you?
No, like outside of like any special projects, like because I still like my in-house job, and I really just do stuff more for fun. And like I have like a platform called Locker Room, and it's really like me and my business partner and creative partner in crime, just a space for us to create and just have it live out in the world, versus just not locked up in our sketchbooks. And sometimes it unlocks some really cool conversations and just opportunities to kind of showcase work, and the work that we really love doing without restrictions.
Oh, I'm looking at your website right now and it's amazing. So
but like we've had a chance to do stuff with like special projects for like the Braves with Hank Aaron's foundation. And like, usually if I do something like that, it's anything outside of work is usually going to be geared towards like a special cause or awareness, just because it takes so much time. I really want to make sure that the projects that I'm doing, outside of what I'm doing at work, has a really special meaning, and it's going to really, help push something forward, because the time is so precious, and it's like, I got family and all these other things that I want to do. So I just really try to make sure like what I'm doing, is going to really have a nice impact on somebody. So
I love it. And like I said, you're extremely talented, and everybody should be following you on Instagram and on social media, because you are absolutely extremely talented. And thank you so much for doing this. This was a lot of fun. Where can people find you on all the socials?
So my social handle, my personal one is Britt Davis 704 across all of them: Instagram, Twitter, Dribble. I think even LinkedIn, it's the same. Actually, no, it's Britt Davis ATL, I think. But Britt Davis, if you Google me, you'll find either Sammy Davis Jr.'s wife or a football player for, I think, the Broncos or the Texas. It's just me. And then my platform, Locker Room, it's LCKRROOM. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram.
And I will make sure to put all of that on the show notes, so that way everybody can follow you, because they should be following you, because you're doing amazing work. Thank you so much for doing this.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I hope you guys enjoyed that episode with Britt, the special episode with Britt Davis. Now, make sure that you guys are following her, as well as Britt and Peck, Lou over at MLB Rally. They all are doing their own thing, and they're doing great work. So make sure you guys are following them and supporting them, okay? Now, this concludes the final episode of the MLB Rally. This was a lot of fun. This was a lot of work, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys got an idea of the amount of work that really does take into creating a movement to bring a MLB team to whichever city that that you can think of. I hope that they bring a team here in North Carolina. I think it'll be very cool. I wish them nothing but the best, and make sure you guys are following them again, okay? And last thing, make sure you guys are following me on social media as well as the podcast. I'm trying to put a lot of more content for you guys. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have any suggestions, anything that I could change or anything like that, all of that is greatly appreciated, okay? Until then, keep on grinding and always support the minor leagues. See ya.
This podcast is part of the Curved Brim Media Network. Here are some of the other members of Curved Brim Media.
Hi, this is Ed Rivera of the Dad Hat Chronicles. Join me as I interview people just like you and players, coaches, GMs on the path that led you to become a fan of the sport.
I'm Paul Caputo, and on the Baseball by Design podcast, I talk to minor league baseball teams, designers, and other super interesting people about what these minor league baseball logos mean. And I talk a little bit about ice cream helmets.
What's up, Bucketheads? I'm Anna DiTommaso, and each week on the Baseball Bucket List podcast, I speak with a different fan about their favorite baseball memories, what the game means to them, and what's left to check off on their baseball bucket list.
Hey guys, this is Patrick Larson from the Minor League Baseball Hat History Series, and in every episode I go through the history of minor league teams through my personal collection of hats. You can find me on Twitter at @PatLarson1. I hope you guys enjoy.
This is Patrick and Corey of BaseballMapper.com, and we have made an interactive map to help highlight all baseball teams from the majors down to collegiate summer leagues.
We want to bring you closer to baseball. So get on the site and find a team near you today.
Learn more about Curved Brim Media at curvedbrimmedia.com.